Bonjour, willkommen and howdy, and welcome back to the FARG Motorpool. What are we doing today? We are at our first show of the season here in Weston-super-Mare Helicopter Museum, one of only 3 helicopter museums in the world, being America, Germany, and one here at the lovely sunny seaside. Just seen a gazelle come in. We've got some alouettes landing as well, so you'll have footage of that a little bit later if you're into helicopters. Meanwhile, we've brought along the Panhard ERC-90, and we're just going to put it into position now. And in this video, we're going to be covering the vehicle. We'll have a good walk around, because we've done that once before, but the sound wasn't great and it was quite dark, so we're going to reshoot that bit of film. Also, we'll be looking at French ration packs. We'll be cooking one up and seeing what they taste like, so a bit of cookery in the programme for you as well. Let's crack on. You all right, George? Do not put your fingers in your ears. That's not effective way of keeping the sound out. Hands flat. Okay. Off. Elevate gun. Ready? Fire!
Morning, George.
Hands up, it is. Ready?
Fire!
Whoa! Whoa!
That's a wrap for today here at Weston-super-Mare Helicopter Museum. Been a very hot day. I think we've all caught the sun. So now the crowds have dissipated, it's time for us to have a look at the ERC. We've, as I've said before, done a little bit of filming around this already, but let's try and do it because we've got really good light and it's nice and quiet at the moment. So we've got Ollie up in the turret. He'll be able to do a few things for us and move the gun around. First thing to point out is there's this spurious wire running down the length of the barrel. That was just from a display we did a little bit earlier where we let off a charge electronically. So try and ignore that. The rest of it is pretty stock. Panhard had a very successful run of armoured cars that dated right back to, well, nearly World War I really, and through World War II. And they came out the back of World War II making something called the Panhard AML. The AML was a very successful series. There was the 60, then there was the AML 90, which had a larger turret with a bigger gun in it. And also there was I think it was the M3, which was the armoured personnel carrier. So a very successful vehicle, and it sold in a lot of different countries around the world. One thing about the 90, which was liked by the countries that used it, was the fact that it wasn't a very stable gun platform. So therefore Panhard got back to the drawing board and in the 1970s designed this. The hull on this has got 6 wheels, you can see obviously on this side, and the vehicle's 2.5 metres in width. So being 2.5 metres in width, quite long, with these 6 wheels on it, it was a very stable platform. And having that larger platform meant that you could put on a larger turret and a larger gun. Even though the AML-90 was a 90mm, and this is 90 as well, this one here is a lot longer. It was firing a more powerful round, and so therefore it was more accurate as well. We'll have a look at the most interesting part of the vehicle. For me, that's actually the back. So we have, being it amphibious, impellers. There's 2 of these, one on each side, and that takes water in from over the back wheel and pushes it out. How does it steer when it's actually in the water? So you can see that this hood comes across, and they go across the impellers and basically push the vehicle one way or another. So there's no propeller as such, as you used to get sort of like World War II vehicles that used to be down the bottom. We also have this. This is a snorkel. And how does this work? This goes up, and that helps. There's one on either side of the engine, and that helps the engine breathe. What you will notice is if we try to rotate the turret, it would collide with it. So you can only really push these up when they are the turret's facing to the front. And you can get a better look at how big that propulsion unit actually is. It's quite a big bit of kit, really. That's where the number plate goes. Rubber bumpers. Obviously these were meant to go inside of aircraft, so the fact is if you get them as close to together as possible, you can fit more in a certain space. So rubber bumpers, so they can sort of go nose to tail. On the back, this is the radiator. You have air expellation unit over here, and one on the other side, so that's where the air is coming out of the engine bay, and that big hatch in there is where you get to the petrol engine. So this still has its original engine in it. Okay, so that was an engine, it's called a PRV, that was developed by Peugeot, Renault and Volvo, and it is a V6 petrol. This one is naturally aspirated rather than turbocharged or anything, and so it's got 2 enormous carburetors sat on top of the engine. The same engine was interestingly used in the DeLorean, that stainless steel wonder car made by DMC. And so it shares the same engine, which was great for us because we were able to get parts. It was found that that engine was a little bit underpowered, so they experimented with putting 2 PRV engines in there side by side, and my goodness, that must have been quite a squeeze. And then they went for 2 diesel units, the same diesels as was fitted in the P4 Jeep range, the Peugeot P4 that the French army was using, so they could swap parts. So they had 2 diesel engines in there. Nice little touch here. So these are the exhaust pipes, and to stop water getting up inside, should it enter the water and there was the engine stalled, it's actually got a weight on there, keeps that exhaust pipe covered, but we can override that. There we go, nice little touch, that one. The EBR, Panhard EBR, which came out in the 50s, that was a great post-war design. That did well selling as well for Panhard. It had 8 wheels, 2 middle ones went up and down to add traction when it was getting caught in boggy ground, etc., off-road. This is along the similar sort of principles. That middle wheel here is lifted. You will notice, I put a bit of film up now of it driving along, that middle wheel still continues to turn even when it's in the up position. When it's down, it does make it quite difficult to steer on concrete or metalled roads, so really that middle tire needs to be up when you're doing sort of any sort of speed, or certainly when you're on the road. So we'll carry on with our tour of the vehicle, looking at the salient points. We talked a moment ago about the fact that they had buoyancy aids, so that's just really what these boxes are. The good old jerry can Pioneer tools. We've got a siren, not the greatest if you're there trying to do some sort of sneaky manoeuvre and you leant on the siren button, I think they'd hear you coming. Round to the front, You can see the front of the vehicle is very much shaped like the hull of a boat, and that's exactly the whole point really, so this can actually go into the water. What's not fitted on this one is there is a screen that actually rests here on the front, and that comes up and then deflects the water out when they're entering into water. So we haven't got that on here at the moment because it's just getting in the way really. Very quick rundown of what we've got on the front. So up here, these two hatches here are for changing elements in the MBC filtration system. Below here, this is where you plug in the jump cable or slave cable, should the vehicle need that. And then the two hatches at the front are to access the back of the braking system, but mainly this is to access where the two batteries are. This is a 24-volt vehicle. Bit in the middle, obviously, so where the driver sticks his head out. It's got a double flap, one goes up and the other one comes down onto the front. Great visibility. We let a complete novice drive this a moment ago, and he is the, I believe he's the director of the Helicopter Museum, so I'll just pop his thoughts on driving this in here. How was that then?
Thank you. That was cool.
It's quite easy to drive, isn't it?
Yeah. Once you found your bite point,
yes,
that's the hardest thing.
Yeah, and power steering kicks in as well, makes it nice and easy, and the brakes are really good on it. So
yeah, it's visibility, isn't it?
now we're going to look up at the turret. So on the left hand side of the main armament, this is the night side. So at the moment that's covered by a secure cover that has to be manually removed. Now don't worry about the cable, as I said, that's something we were doing earlier. And there's our night side. On that side, are you? Okay. So, there's Ollie. This is the laser. So this is all part of the range finding apparatus. So that's hidden behind this. And here we have our AA52. Oh, there we go. Ollie's opened it up. You can see there's a lens in there, and we've got the laser equipment behind it. We'll shut that one up. And then we have the coaxial 7.62, in this case, French machine gun, and a very powerful night light. This gun operates at the same time as the main gun, so as the main gun goes up and down, so does the coaxial. How much elevation and depression that we've got in the main gun. Okay, Ollie?
Yep.
Okay, you'd like to wind it down as far as you can. So let's see how this goes. So that's about 2 degrees, maybe 3. Is that as far as we've got?
Yeah, it's not
okay. So I think we're looking at about 3 degrees there, maybe 2.5. So that's quite a fair depression. Let's take it up, Ollie. Now, I happen to know that this won't go up very high. But if you actually think about how far the muzzle at the end is actually travelling, it's quite a distance. So is that as high as it goes up? Let's have a look at that. What do we think that is? Is that 6, 7? Maybe. Okay. What we'll do is, while it's in that position, we'll have the turret rotated. So we've not got the electrics turned on, so there are electric motors that help with the elevation and the rotation. We're going to do this one by hand, so we'll show how easy it is. So all we've got is Ollie in there. He's grabbing hold of the two particular elements, and he's going to start spinning them around now. Okay, Ollie, like to rotate to your right, and we'll go for a 90 degrees. Off we go. Very smooth, very quiet. Keep going. Ollie thought he was going to get this time off, but no, we'll have to work in. Come on, Ollie. Crank that handle. We're coming round. There we go, look. So then we're going to set the world alight and the speed. A little bit more. And stop.